Logic is difficult because we have to pay attention to various aspects of speech that we don't usually look at, things we just take for granted, and think about the character that those statements have. Aristotle developed a series of works, several of which we read in our freshman's philosophy tutorial, in which he works out the way in which the mind names things and the order that things have insofar as we name them, and then the way that we reason from those statements so that we come upon conclusions.
Aristotle's Organon is so important because we're finally getting Aristotle's treatise on logic, and he's teaching us really just the art of reasoning well. And that's so fundamental not only to any curriculum, I think, but particularly to the way we do things here, namely the way we discuss and the way we try to understand together the concepts that we're learning. It's so important to be able to discuss a very particular way that Aristotle lays out in the Organon.
So I guess taking the categories first, it explains things in simple concepts, right? It talks about what we will later call like the terms of a predication. And then in the prior, we get the full tool that the Organon's offering, which is the syllogism. And that's the construct of the predicates or premises that you formed from the simple concepts into that yield a conclusion. And that's a syllogism.
In some places, you can even see that a great mind like Locke, Isaac Newton, make little logical errors. Sometimes those errors actually reveal that what they say need not be true. Sometimes it just shows you that one needs to come to the same truth in a slightly different way, perhaps a little more, in a more rigorous way. Even Isaac Newton, who's so rigorous in his mathematics, could have been a little more careful in his logic right at the beginning.
In sophomore language class, second semester, we read a text called the Treatise on the Modes of Signifying by Martin of Denmark. And I found it pretty remarkable that in that treatise on language, of all things, right, just grammar, he employs and talks about and uses terminology that we find in the categories. When Aristotle introduced the Organon in the categories, what he was going to be doing, it's about how people talk. And how people talk kind of is a sign of how people think. And so it seems like it'd be a natural consequence that you would have to kind of use terminology from logic to explain grammar.
It seems like every subject we learn here, it's in some way draws upon what we learn in freshman philosophy in Aristotle's Organon. And I think it's just a testament to the fact that it's so important and so fundamental to not just philosophy, but to any science that you want to learn.
I remember a time studying one of St. Thomas's most famous books, one of his most famous books, On Being in Essence. And I asked the students to put the argument up on the board in the form of a syllogism, same sort of syllogism that we used the first year. And a student told me that someone whispered to him, "I didn't realize St. Thomas spoke in syllogisms." But he does, and that's one of the main reasons we study syllogisms freshman year.